I do have a guideline, maybe even a rule, that's going to help your writing right away. Welcome to Fuck Grammar, the YouTube channel that teaches you how to write better for school, work, and general self-confidence. This is episode 7, and today we'll be looking at the sentence, fuck, shit, and ass are bad words, to learn about the coordinating conjunction. So briefly, before we get too far into this video, I feel like I should address why my face looks a little bit bizarre. The top half of my face looks a little pasty, and the bottom part of my face looks a little less pasty. I live in Alaska, and it is the end of a long Alaskan winter. It is now spring, and the sun is in the sky for 13 or more hours a day. And I spent in the last week a lot of time outside. I was hunting on the North Slope by dog team for some caribou to put in my freezer. And I was successful, thank you very much. If you're interested in seeing some dog mushing videos, you can go to grammaraf.com, and I've got a link to at least one dog mushing video over there. Coordinating conjunction is kind of a mouthful. It's kind of a lot to get up in there. And unlike some of you, I don't usually like to have big things in my mouth. So I'm going to abbreviate it into the co-junks. And I think that makes sense because really there's a lot of junk in the trunk of the conjunctions. They're a wide, broad, meaty topic. There's lots to say. They really fill out their genes. As the immortal Missy Elliott says in WTF, junk in the trunk make you pumps in the bump. And I want you to be confident walking down the street, swinging your hips, or watching those swinging hips, that you know what sort of pumps go into what sort of bumps, and how to use those junks. So there are only 7 coordinating conjunctions, only 7 co-junks, usually remembered with the memory trick, fanboys. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. But really, I'd say most normal writers aren't using for, nor, or yet typically in their writing. So let's just chuck those, let's just pretend they're not here in the interest of focusing on helping your writing get better. So we're left with 4 words, so, or, and but, which is easily remembered, I think, with a much better memory trick, son of a bitch. They join words, phrases, and clauses, and we're gonna talk about phrases and clauses later, so let's leave them aside for now. And really, the co-junks that join words best are and or. Those are really the workhorses joining words together. So they can join subjects, they can join objects, they can join verbs, they can join adjectives, anything. So let me give you an example. Let's start with a subject maybe. So I got a subject, usually a subject is 1 line, but if I have 2 subjects, I'm just gonna break that into 2 lines and join those 2 lines together with that co-junk. It's kind of like I'm chaining those 2 words together so that they're in one spot, or that they're one thing. So let's have 2 subjects. Jack and Jill fucked. Let's do 2 verbs. Jack fucked and cried. Let's use or this time. Jill likes rice or dicks. And really this chain is the important thing because it brings those 2 things together. And you can have 3 things if you want to. Let me give you an example sentence. Let me start out easy. Let me start out basic and then we'll add onto it. So how about I like soft lips? Subject, predicate, direct object, and adjective. So let's add a chain in there. I like soft lips and tits. So now I've got this chain and I'm joining the soft lips, focus Chris, to the tits. It's like bondage grammar, 50 shades of grammar. Let's look at a couple other examples. 2 subjects, whips and chains are sexy. 2 verbs, he whimpered and cried. Every time you're joining things, if there's a space for one thing, you can break it into a space for 2 things and just chain them together with your bondage grammar, with your co-junk. You may have noticed that sometimes there's a comma in front of a conjunct, like and sometimes there's not. What's the difference? What's the reason for that? Well, remember first that conjuncts can join three different kinds of things. They can join words, phrases, or clauses. But just talking about words, the guideline's pretty simple. If you have two words being joined, no comma. If you have three or more words being joined, use a comma, or use two commas actually. So if I said she was sexy and demanding, no comma. If I said she was cruel, sexy, and demanding, well now I have three words, so I'm going to say cruel, comma, sexy, comma, and demanding. I think the commas, it's easy to remember, I think, if you think about commas as condoms. Say you have two people, a man and a woman, in a committed relationship. There's just two people bumping together, putting the pumps in the bump. Now, let's say they brought another word into that relationship. At that point, anyone willing to sort of sleep with them, maybe they went down to the bar on a Saturday night looking to get slippery in a threesome, anybody willing to sleep with them has probably been sleeping with other people or other groups too. Who knows what STDs they're bringing along? I just found out there's something called rectal gonorrhea. I don't even know what gonorrhea is, but I know I don't want it in my ass. So at that point, when you have three or more words being joined together, you're going to want to use condoms. You're going to want to use a comma, two commas actually. In between each one of those interactions, you're going to want to use a comma. So for instance, if I had a sentence, rectal gonorrhea is nasty, disgusting, and gross, I'd have nasty, comma, disgusting, comma, and gross. You don't want it. As a quick side note, there is some controversy about whether that second comma should be used. The argument is about something called the Oxford comma. I'm going to do a whole lesson on this further down the line. In short, in general, Americans use that second comma. Other countries who speak English don't use that second comma. I do have a guideline, maybe even a rule, that's going to help your writing right away. Don't start a sentence with a conjunct. Don't start a sentence with but, don't start a sentence with and, don't start a sentence with or. That is in formal writing illegal. The reason is this. By definition, a coordinating conjunction, the conjuncts join one thing to another thing. It's the thing in the middle, in between those two things. You can't then drop off the first thing and start with the word that joins to it if there's nothing there. That's illogical. It doesn't make sense in formal writing. Now, in informal writing, when you're writing a short story or writing a novel, doesn't matter. When you're talking with your friends, doesn't matter. But when you're trying to be formal and correct, you cannot start a sentence with a conjunct. So let's get back to our fuck sentence of the day, which was fuck, shit, and ass are bad words. I think you now know that if I got three words in a list, I'm going to put commas in between each of those words. So that sentence should read fuck, comma, shit, comma, and ass are bad words. I could just as easily take those three words from the subject and let's put them after the predicate. So let's move the predicate nominative, the motherfucking motherfuck, to the front. Some bad words are fuck, comma, shit, comma, and ass. It doesn't matter where they go in the sentence. If you're joining words with a conjunct, there's rules that you follow, guidelines that you follow. If I only had two swear words, I could say, some bad words are shit and fuck. There wouldn't be a comma because I'm only joining two words. I hope that was helpful to you. I hope the next time you're writing and you're using conjuncts, because you do, everyone does, you'll recognize them, you'll think to yourself, I see what I'm doing, I need a comma here because, or I don't need a comma here because. If you like what you're seeing, if you like what I'm doing, I appreciate you subscribing so I know that you're paying attention. I'd love it if you press like. I'd love it even more if you went over to my website, grammaraf.com, and signed up with my Patreon. I know that's unlikely, but what the fuck, can't hurt but to ask. Over on grammaraf.com as well, I'll have 10 or so sentences that you can practice punctuating and that you can diagram. I'll have a little answer key there under episode 7. Super, I think that's it. Next time, phrases. See ya. Bye.